Hey, BassGeek here, and on this channel, you geeks know I love to test new baits. We test them all the time. We're always out here, I say it in rain, sleet, or shine, testing new baits to figure out when and where they shine for you. This is a bait that stole our heart when it comes to soft plastic jerk baits, and it is time to put a jerk bait, hard or soft, on your rod and reel. Let me show you this new design. X-Zone Lures has made one of our favorite soft jerk baits. We have used it for a long while now. We've got all kinds of fishing videos and all kinds of how-tos that have used this lure right here. This is the 6-inch X-Zone Lures Whiplash Shad. And let me tell you, it will give the bass whiplash. It's got an incredible tail whip action as you jerk it through the water and an incredible shimmy as it falls. And now they've came out with a 5-inch and they've come out with a 3.5-inch. This makes me extremely happy because this bait right here has gotten me some killer bites. But for the lakes that I fish and the size shad that are in them and the clear bodies of water, it's a little bit big. Works great in and around structure for me. If you got bigger shad, the 6-inch is definitely the way to go. These two little baits, you talk about a crazy finesse. Look at that 3.5-inch bait right there. And you can do a lot of things from putting it on a ball head to using it just like we're talking about today as a soft jerk bait. And it's going to catch everything from crappie, probably some bluegill, and bass. This, however, has overtaken as my favorite size, the 5-inch bait. And so I'm going to talk to you a little bit about the Whiplash Shad. We're going to use the 5-inch just so I can show you, what the features of the bait are. Now, to start off, you'll notice the very long and flat tail that we have here. It tapers off very quickly from the body, which is very shad shaped. So a nice big round belly. Now we've also got a slightly contoured head, so it kind of comes down. And depending on how you want this bait, how you want to fish it, whether you want it to rise, whether you want it to stay neutral in the water, or whether you want it to dive a little bit. Really depends on how you put the hook because it contours down on all 4 sides. So it comes up here, comes down there, side to side, to a little bit of a, not really a point, but a nice narrower head. It does have the hollow belly, and the bait is very flat, so it's not round on each side. The tail does a lot of the work and allows it to slice through the water. It's a very uniquely designed bait, and it's something that you can fish a lot of different ways. So I picked up a bunch of colors. Before I show you that real quick, apparently YouTube hates us. I want to talk to you about a couple things. And we know that they've been unsubscribing us from people. People have said in the comment section below that they're unsubscribing us. I mean, maybe we're just doing a really crappy job too, but it doesn't seem like they're pushing us out to as many people either. And that is probably because the channel is older. So just watching or making sure that you're subscribed would really help us out because, apparently YouTube does not like us right now. And they are not showing our videos to a lot of people. We're not getting a lot of impressions. We'd appreciate the help. Other than that, if you want to help out other than just watching, and that's the easiest way to do it, we appreciate the heck out of that. If you see a video and you watch us and you get some sort of benefit from it, or you learn something from it, you catch some bass, you want to buy some new baits, hey, make sure you go check out our link to Tackle Warehouse. Scan this code right here. It'll take you there real quick. Doesn't cost you a dime. We don't do any sort of memberships or anything like that because we want to share the information that we learn because we spend rain, sleet, snow, or shine on the lake testing baits and learning. And we want to share that with you all for free. No charge. And so I've got my 2 favorite colors out here today. This in the 3.5 inch is Pro Blue Red Pearl. and really, really happy about this color. This is Smelt. So I picked up a bunch of colors, geeks, in both of them. I'm just going to show you the 5-inch. They're a little bit bigger, a little bit easier for the camera to pick up. And we're going to start with Gizzard Shad. Baby Bass. This is 309. Electric Shad. Pearl. Smoke Pearl Laminate. This is Perch. And last but not least, Bluegill. So let's talk about situation. Situation right now is the bass are anywhere from that middle third of the creek to the back of the creek. They're really beginning to push up. The water temps are now in the mid to high 50s. Might still be some cold fronts come along that'll push them down. So they're going to be in that second to last to very last deep water, steep water, channel swings. We'll talk about location in a minute. But these bass are moving. That means they're feeding and they're looking for rest stops, which means they're also looking for specific structure and cover to hide in. So rod, reel, and line, I've got a 7-foot medium heavy. I want a little stiffer rod, you know, because we are throwing around some cover, some structure, and we want to try our best to keep those fish out of there, even though we're using light line. Now, coming to line, that brings us to what I'm using today. You can use 2 different types of line. I like the K9 Pro 100 because it's going to help get this bait down a little bit deeper since I'm fishing those deeper lakes. If you're fishing those more shallow lakes, you might want to go with the Co-Poly, which is a hybrid line and between like mono and fluorocarbon. So it's neutrally buoyant, has a little extra stretch to it, but it's still clear in the water. So you can keep the bait at the depth you want. So the spinning reel we're using, I'm using the Lew's Custom Pro Speed Spool. This is a 3000, 2000, 3000. I like the 3000 because it's got a little bit bigger spool. So because I'm using fluorocarbon, and I skipped this part, I am using leader, about a 15-foot leader to braid. The best casting braid on the market, by the way, K9 line. But that little bit bigger spool helps keep the line, that fluorocarbon especially, on the spool a little better than say a 2000 does. So location. If you've got a lake that's got a lot of docks on it, I mean, that's going to be your deal, especially as you're moving back into the creeks. You're going to want to pay attention to any sort of brush piles or cover or laydowns, blowdowns, whatever you call them, as you move back in there. Bass are going to love wood this time of year. They're going to love those docks that are going to hold a little extra heat as they're incubating those eggs. Marinas, as you get back in there, they're going to be great too. And that Whiplash Shad is really going to give you, you know, a lot of action side to side. Now the bass may not be ready to chase anything on the surface or break anything on the surface if, and especially if, some sort of cold front just hit a few days before. Like I always say, 3 days after is when you're going to want that warm up. It just gets them fired up a little bit more. The location, it's really going to be that middle third. It's really going to be the back third in those last channel swings, that deepest water before they move up on those flats to spawn. They're going to find those places that they can bury up in cover. And this stuff right here, this little Whiplash Shad, that little 3-inch Whiplash Shad, the 6-inch Whiplash Shad will pull them out of there. So be ready. Looks extremely natural in that shallow water, and those bass are going to be extremely finicky up in that shallow water because they're going to feel a little more exposed. So when they're a little more exposed, that's when, you know, you don't have dirty water, maybe you've got cleaner water, that's when these things work the best. So if you see them looking at a hard jerkbait, but they're not eating it, you might want to go to this because it's a little more natural and they're going to be a little easier to get to commit this time of year. So when it comes to retrieves, I'm going to do two different things a lot of times. Now, I'm fishing a lot of clear water. They tend to be a little bit deeper. If they're up shallower, if the water dirty's up, I'm going to take this off. We'll talk about this in the section when we finish up and talk about rigging. But for me, the retrieves, I'm going to skip it out there. I love skipping it under docks or over wood or whatever, because it looks like a fleeing bait fish. Again, sometimes if you don't see the bait fish popping, don't necessarily do that. Just cast it over there nice and soft, let it sink down. The easiest way to do it is, I call it the 3 and 3. Count to 3, twitch 2 to 3 times. Count to 3, twitch 2 to 3 times. Now, if you're in shallower water, you're going to want to shorten that. You're going to want to go twitch, twitch, 1, 2, twitch, twitch, 1, 2. Keep the bait down, keep it under the water. And that's the deal. I think right now, they're not necessarily, shad aren't busting out of the water. They're not busting out of the water yet. There are some topwater opportunities. Most of the time, they're still to come. But right now, they're feeding on these shad that are moving around, moving up into the creeks themselves, and trying to gain weight. When they get over in these trees, they're either ambushing or they're just taking a little bit of a rest. You're going to put that bait in there. It's a great time when they're in that cover, hiding in that heavy rock or around those docks and marinas. That's what a soft jerk bait like the Whiplash shad really does, is get those bass to feed when they don't necessarily want to. So when we talk about hook set, you're going to hook set straight up, whether it be on what I'm using today, a spinning rod combo or a bait casting combo. And I can really use either one, especially with the little bit of belly weight that I've got on here. Now, for me, I always talk about making sure you're setting the hook and you're climbing down that line. You keep the tension as you lower the rod tip toward the water. That keeps the rod tip loaded and engaged and keeps the bass from jumping out of the water. When they jump, don't stop reeling. Okay? When they jump, put the pressure on them. Because what'll happen is if you stop, they'll get just enough slack in that line to throw that bait. When it comes to landing them, look guys, single hook, if it's a big bass and you're on, something like I like to throw, some lighter line, some lighter tackle, then make sure you've got a net, or you get down there, put that bass on your thumb, give yourself some bass thumb and get them into the boat. Be patient, don't horse them. They're going to be mad this time of year. So this is how I rig this 90% of the time. If I'm fishing strictly open water with it, a lot of times if they're busting or over top of open water, I may just not Texas rig it. I'll just use an EWG hook or maybe one with a belly weight. It just really depends. But for the most part, this time of year, I really love to fish it around cover and structure, stuff where it might get hung. So I like to be able to expose that, where you basically just put a little bit of the meat right there, protects that hook. And I like, because again, I fish steep, deep lakes. I'll use that 1/8 ounce, that belly weight, to get it down just a little bit deeper than maybe some of you guys would in your local lakes. So the biggest thing, if you're fishing from the bank or you're fishing some of those shallower lakes, just use a standard hook, just your favorite hook. It can be an EWG or it can be a good big offset hook. Hook size will help you get a little bit of drop, a little bit of fall rate on it too. So sometimes you can use a little bit bigger hook that'll help get it down. Now, when it comes to fishing the Whiplash shad, even the 6-inch, we've got some pretty detailed videos, especially time of year and different types of riggings. So I'm going to put one of those for you right here. Otherwise, questions, comments in the comment section below. Like it if you like it. Don't forget to subscribe. Make sure you ring that bell so you get these videos when they come out, so you can be part of the 100% Watch Squad. Watch us, because apparently YouTube hates our guts right now. And as always, you geeks rock.